I got some parts to get gathered up. I had to go to the metal store, get some tubing. Free. Ah! So I got this tubing cut, and what this is for is it's going to be for the shock tubes. So here's one of the shock tubes, and it just barely fits on over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn these into clamps by welding this spacer on here, and then I'll slice it down the middle. So then you have, you know, a clamp. I'll be able to put a bolt through it and squeeze it on there to hold the forks. So I got to build 2 sets of forks. So I actually have 8 that I got to do. Alright, here we are, 8 of these bad boys, piping hot. So I gotta clean them all up. A couple of them I'll have some stuff on the inside, maybe 1 or 2 of them. Make sure that the holes are clear for the bolts. And then we'll slice them right down the middle here. And that's pretty much it. Alright, now that I have these built, the next thing I'm going to do is, well, I need to do some measurements on the front end, but basically these are going to get mounted in here, so I'm going to have to cut the outside off. I'm going to have to mark and cut somewhere in here, but I got to make sure that it's the right width for this. So here's the front end bolted together with the right spacers in it. Here is the brake rotor sitting on the hub there. It still needs to be welded in. So I guess the critical number that I'm looking for is how wide is it between these here. And you know, there's a little bit of play, so I need to make sure that that nut's tight, try to get it as straight as possible, get some good measurements between the two. Okay, this is the bottom bracket. I forgot to mention these are from the Monster Moto 212. So you gotta cut these tubes off. This is where the stock forks mount. And then on this one, before I cut them off, they just bolted to the top plate. So, I gotta get these off, you know, scribe them out, get them cut perfect, and then weld some of those on there. Some of those clamps on there. Okay. Make for this bike, and not a lot of actual progress. By the time we actually start putting this thing together, it should go really quick. I mean, we got our axle brackets here. These are going to be my adjusters. They're going to get welded on here and push the axle back because it's going to have this spacer right here. Our upper and lower triple trees are done. So I'm going to get these things fitted on here and see what they look like. See if they fit on there to start with. So let's start with this one. Still pretty warm. Okay, need a little bit of persuasion. Oh yeah, here we go. And then this nut goes on here. There we go. That's our fork build. Now, all right, let me bring this up here on the bench. Okay, I'm gonna put this in here. The next thing I have to figure out is the brake. So here's the brake caliper. And there's the disc, like so. So I got to figure out a way to mount this because the mounting holes are not the same. I could get one in there, but the second one is definitely off. And it needs to be like so. So, just kind of a bummer, because it would have been nice for it to just work right out of the box. But we'll basically, I got to make a bracket that has both bolt hole patterns on it. And there's probably enough room. Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to make a bracket that has both bolt hole patterns. Basically holds it just like you see it here. And then we can get the sprocket actually welded to the front. Good morning, everybody. I'm flip-flopping back and forth between this swing arm build and this front end build, but right now I'm working on the front end build. Sorry about the hands. So right now, like I said, I'm working on this front end build. It's taking me a while just to get, you know, everything situated. I do a little bit of clearancing here. Let's see if this thing, let's see how this fits in here. I got spacers, I got axle, spacer, tighter. Another spacer here. Okay. So on this scooter bracket, I went and just cut the middle out of it. It used to be attached like this. So I cut the middle out of it so these can move independently. And I think I'm going to be able to mount it this way. This thing is just getting in the way. So, let's see if this thing will bolt up this time. Oh man, that's it right there. Okay, so now we got to worry about, is the brake pad in the right place? Yeah, I would say that it's just fine. First, let's go ahead and put this thing on here. I want to get it running straight and true. So we're gonna weld this sucker on here finally. Okay, yeah. The rotor's rubbing on this bolt back here, or this nut, just in this one spot right there. It's kind of self-clearancing already, but yeah, I'm gonna have to probably just do a little bit of grinding on there. Okay. So, yeah, the next thing I guess I have to do is get these, or get that bracket welded back together, which is gonna be a little bit of a challenge. Between the brake and the wheel, pretty tight, but it's about perfect, really. So I think it will work just fine. So here's what we got. I'm gonna go ahead and fill that in. All right, we're finally done with this front end here. Something's making a little bit of noise. I can't really figure it out yet, but I think it just might be the pads. Anyway, turned out pretty good. Now I gotta blow it back apart because I need this axle to make the rear. Good afternoon, everyone. It's the next day, and I have been working. Well, I did some stuff this morning, but I've been working a little bit here. I'm painting the wheels. Mainly, I wanted to paint the back one so I could put it all back together, and the sprocket as well. Here's the sprocket being painted. So that's the front wheel. I knocked the bearings out. I got to put new bearings in it after it's painted and dry. Alright guys, I wanted to show you the completed front end with the bar on it and the brake and everything. It's right here. Let me go ahead and stand it up. Oh, jeez. It's kind of heavy, to be honest with you. Steel wheel, big tire, big forks. But yeah, that's the whole thing there. Done, painted up. They were painted green, now they're painted black. There's some guards that go on here, but other than that, it's pretty much done. Brakes on there, brake works. So, just got to put grips on it, but it's ready to go on the bike, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. Look at that. I thought I'd give you guys a little sneak peek of this. Wicked headlight. So all this took was just these like 4 straps. These things were super hard to get in here, but that's it. 4 little rubber straps and that thing's on there. It's pretty cool. So as soon as the frame is done, we can get this entire front end put on. So anyways, oh, another cool car just happened to cruise into my shop. 60 something, I can't remember now what year it is. Ford Econoline. It's an old Econoline. So a friend up the street just bought it, and we might end up doing a little bit of work to it. He's gonna keep it pretty much how it is and drive it, but it needs probably a carburetor rebuild. The brakes don't really work too great. Supposedly they're done. So we'll see. We'll bleed them out and see what we get from them. So yeah, it's a pretty sweet truck. It's got a little rust in it, but it just needs to be cleaned up. I drove in here, so needs some interior. It just needs to be polished. So all right, you guys, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.